Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Prabhupada. More kirtan? More? More kirtan? Kirtan more?
Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parirajikacharya Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parirajikacharya Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Iskcon founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Puram Shotam Kshetra Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Srimati Tosi Maharani Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Haribo. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Shri Nrsimha Caturdasi Maha Mahotsava Ki Jai.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Jaya Nrsimha Dev, Nrsimha Dev, Nrsimha Dev, Jaya Nrsimha Dev. Jaya Vaishnava Thakur, Vaishnava Thakur, Vaishnava Thakur, Jaya Vaishnava Thakur. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Astotara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Maharaj Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, the holy appearance day of Nrsimha Dev Bhagwan Ki Jai, the Tirobhava Mahotsava of His Grace Jayananda Prabhu Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayed Nastaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Tamal Krishna Goswami Iti Namine Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shwanyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. I don't know if you noticed it, but from here I can see today the space between the speaker and the audience is very little. So like the special festival day where we are doing service together and the same purpose, it feels more like a family rather than we are all scattered energies. It's very obvious from here. I don't know if you noticed it. And everybody just came close. Very interesting. So today is the holy appearance day of Lord Nrsimha Dev. It is also the disappearance day of Jayananda Prabhu, who Srila Prabhupada said was the first saint in Iskcon. So we'll talk about Nrsimha a little bit first, and then we'll talk about Jayananda Prabhu. I just wanted to know if anyone does not know about Nrsimha. You should be okay, right, Mark? You know. So I think we are okay. Brittany? You know. Okay. So I was thinking that since this is mostly devotees, we say that on the appearance days of the Lord is very merciful to us, and that we should pray to the Lord. So then I was thinking, the pastimes of Nrsimha in the 7th canto takes up about 10 chapters. So it's a very long thing to cover, and most of us are familiar with this story. So then I thought, how do we pray for the Lord, right? How do we pray to the Lord? Because in the Nectar of Devotion it says, amongst the 64 items of devotional service, one is that we should offer prayers to the Lord. The other is we should offer notable prayers. So today I thought I'll talk about the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj once Nrsimha appears. Because I'm not good at prayers, so I thought this will help me myself as to how do you pray to the Lord, or how do you recite notable prayers. It's something that is practical for me. So, and of course in the Bhagavatam there are many different kinds of prayers, right? Can you remember some of them? Different prayers? Some which are notable? Your favorite prayers maybe? There's so many. But Queen Kunti's prayers, Gajendra's prayers are very famous of surrender. Yes, Brahma's prayers once he is repentant. Nice. Anyone else? Gopal Prabhu, you'll always have something. Dhruva and Prahlad, yes. So we'll do the prayers of Prahlad today. So these are in the 7th canto, chapter 9. And the verses are quite big actually, from text 8 to 50. And kind of we can follow, understand how he is praying to the Lord. And also we can see how we can use this in our own prayers. So once Nrsimha appears, it is his appearance day today, then Prahlad Maharaj and the demigods are there, and everyone's afraid because he's so ferocious, right? His ghastly form. So even Lakshmi Devi is afraid to go to him. So they push forward this little boy, Prahlad, because the demigods are thinking that the Lord came to protect you. So this is, therefore they push him forward. This is post-COVID. I don't know, it just goes sometimes. So Prahlad Maharaj, when he comes forward to the Lord, remember he's a little boy, like 5 years old or so. So he's telling, he's praying to the Lord, he's there, and he's looking at this form of the Lord, and he's saying, I have no qualification. And even if the demigods and the great sages, they cannot satisfy you with nice prayers, how is it possible for me, who is born in demoniac family, and who is so young and unintelligent, how is it possible for me to satisfy you? So then he says, I only know that to please you, one does not need any material qualifications. Because look at the sages, so much austerity, so much tapasya. Look at the demigods, so many material qualifications. And they are failing to please you. So I can understand that to please you, only devotional service or bhakti is necessary. So then he says that then I am praying to you that whatever I have in terms of my ability, let me try to offer prayers to you. And he tells the Lord, you are full in everything. You don't need my prayers, but I say these prayers because it is for my benefit. It's not for your benefit, but for my benefit and to purify my heart. I'm going to try to say some prayers. Then he is addressing the Lord in his present state. He's saying that you have this ferocious form today. The demigods are not afraid of you, and I am also not afraid of you. But if we... now this demon Hiranyakashipu, who was terrifying everyone, he is dead. So everyone in the universe is feeling some relief. So please give up your anger. There's no need to be angry anymore. You've accomplished your mission. You come to deliver or protect the pious and to protect the citizens of the universe. So your mission is accomplished. So please, now if you can not become angry anymore, please give that up. So he's appealing to the Lord that, this ghastly form may be difficult for me to say something. After he says that, then he asks the Lord to give him shelter. He said, I'm not afraid of your ghastly form, but I'm very afraid of this material world. Because this material world, Maya, is so strong. And it is always covering us and pulling us. So this is what I'm afraid of. And the only way I can overcome this onslaught of Maya is if I take shelter at your feet. So I'm praying to you, please give me shelter at your lotus feet. Because if you give me shelter at your lotus feet, then I will do devotional service in the association of devotees. And in the association of devotees, what will happen? I will chant your glories. If I chant your glories, it'll be purifying to my consciousness and it'll also please you. So, and I will also follow in the footsteps of Lord Brahma and of the disciplic succession. And in this way, I can cross this material world, this material ocean, and reach to your lotus feet. So, and you are my only shelter. Because if you see that my father, I've seen in my own experience, my father had a long life. He had so much Shri, he had so much opulence. Even if he raised his eyebrow, everyone trembled and the world stopped. He had everything which was going for him, but still, I saw that he was not happy, and you have finished him in a moment. What was the point of him having all these opulences? So I see that this material opulence actually are of no use to me. And therefore, I do not want to follow in his footsteps. I do not want to go over this insignificant material opulences. Because I see in the ultimate end, like in the case of my father, it did not save him. So please, let me not become attached to this material world. Then he goes on to say that, then he speaks about the Lord's mercy. It's a very sweet prayer. He says, my dear Lord, Lakshmi Devi, who's always serving your lotus feet, Lord Brahma, who's creating the universe, and you have put him in charge of the sub-creation, they are your eternal servants, and they have so much responsibility. But you are not as merciful to them as you are to me, because you put your hand on my head. You don't do that to Lakshmi Devi or to Brahma. So you are so merciful. I am so grateful to you that you have extended this mercy to me. For a child, this is his mentality, that if the superior puts his hand on his head, the child feels so much protection, and he feels there's nothing to worry about. He feels shelter. So he's acknowledging to Nrsimha Dev that just by this gesture of you putting your hand on my head, I feel sheltered. And now you have empowered me to say prayers which were appropriate because I don't have the intelligence. Then he starts to speak philosophy, because he has now, appeased the Lord, and he's telling the Lord that actually you are in charge of the whole cosmos. Everything is running under your control. And you take on so many incarnations, not only in many species, humans, animals, and you do this because you want to protect your devotees and to give shelter to those who have surrendered to you. So, and particularly you are known as Tri-Yuga. And he gives this, said you come in different yugas, but in the Kali Yuga, you are hidden. Because Mahaprabhu is Lord himself, but he's hidden as a devotee of the Lord. So you are known as Tri-Yuga. And he also describes how you take the form of Mahavishnu, and you are lying in the causal ocean in Yoga Nindra. And even though it seems like you are asleep, your sleep is not like my sleep. You are creating universes. And then from your lotus navel, a lotus flower sprouts. From there, Lord Brahma comes. And then Lord Brahma was attacked by this demon, who tried to take away the Vedas from him. So in the form of Hayagriva, you killed this Madhu and Kaitava, you killed those demons, and you protected the Vedas, and you protected your devotee. So you are carrying on everything, but still you are aloof from it. This whole material, this whole cosmos is your energy. There is nothing separate from you. But still, even though you pervade everything, you are still aloof from that. And that is such an amazing thing. Then Prahlad Maharaj goes on and talks about, after he's glorifying the Lord, he's feeling very insignificant and unqualified. And these are some of the, I thought I would read this because it's very appropriate for us. It's 39 and 40. Where Prahlad is saying how he feels so unqualified. And this is our position. This is 39. My dear Lord of the Vaikuntha planets, where there is no anxiety, my mind is extremely sinful and lusty, brings sometimes so-called happy and sometimes so-called distress. My mind is full of lamentation and fear, and it always seeks more and more money. Thus it has become most polluted and is never satisfied in any topics concerning you. I am therefore most fallen and poor. In such a status of life, how shall I be able to discuss your activities? So here, Prahlad Maharaj is feeling so unqualified because he says, I'm very sinful, I'm born in a family of demons, and have so many lusty desires. I am full of lamentation and fear, and I'm in this situation, how can I even talk about your glories? No? So this is we can relate to this. No? We are born in Kali Yuga. We don't always have the best birth. It's difficult for us to control our senses. We are bombarded by sense objects from every angle, every sense, all the time. And therefore the mind is never peaceful. And we are fearful, and we lament for that which we have not done. You know, we are hankering and lamenting. So how is it possible for us to actually discuss the glories of the Lord or to serve Him? Then there's on text 40, he says, my dear Lord, O infallible one, my position is like that of a person who has many wives, all trying to attract him in their own way. Then he talks about how the senses are binding. For example, the tongue is attracted to palatable dishes, the genitals to sex with an attractive woman or man, and the sense of touch to contact with soft things. The belly, although filled, still wants to eat more, and the ear, not attempting to hear about you, is generally attracted to cinema songs. The sense of smell is attracted to yet another side. The restless eyes are attracted to scenes of sense gratification, and the active senses are attracted elsewhere. In this way, I am certainly embarrassed. So he feels very unqualified. And so he's saying, how can I in any way serve you or even pacify you? Then he says that, but because you are situated on the other side of this Vaitarini river, the river which, the other side means on the spiritual side, if I somehow or other, I get your mercy, if you look upon me very kindly, you glance with me very mercy, you can deliver me and you can take me to the other side. So this is the only thing I'm asking you or I'm requesting you. And then he says this very beautiful verse, which he says like how the Lord is delivers everyone. O my Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, original spiritual master of the entire world, what is the difficulty for you who manage the affairs of the universe in delivering the fallen souls engaged in your devotional service? You are the friend of all suffering humanity, and for great personalities, it is necessary to show mercy to the foolish. So he's pleading, no? Because for you it is very easy and I'm very unqualified. And because you are a great person, it's your duty. He's gently nudging the Lord. You have to show me mercy. That's part of your personality. Therefore, I think that you will show me your causeless mercy. that you will show your causeless mercy to persons like us who engage in your devotional service. So it's hope against hope, right? This is one of the principles. Even though we feel we have no qualified, we have no hope of crossing this material ocean. Still, because the Lord, you are the savior of the fallen, you are full of mercy, you are completely capable, you can deliver even a fallen person like me. And that's my only qualification. So please show me your mercy. Then he says this beautiful verse where he says, actually, it's not enough for you to show me my mercy to me. I don't want to go to the other side alone. I want to take all these foolish people with me. And this is this beautiful verse, Naivod Vijay Para Duratyaya Vaitaranyas. O best of the great personalities, I am not at all afraid of material existence, for wherever I stay, I am fully absorbed in thoughts of your glories and activities. My concern is only for the fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans for material happiness and maintaining their families, societies, and country. I am simply concerned with love for them. So this is the humility of Prahlad Maharaj and his compassion, that, it's not enough for you to just deliver me. You please be merciful, because to these fallen souls, I am one of them, but I am one of the millions. So please extend your mercy to all of us. And then he says that the only way these fallen souls can cross over this material ocean and come to you is if they engage in devotional service. That is the only means. As I saw from the life of my father, everything material failed. So I can understand from the teachings of my spiritual master, Narad Muni, that this is the only way. By serving you, I can cross your lotus. I can get to your lotus feet. And he also says, very beautiful. He says that, my dear Lord, I owe my devotional service to my spiritual master, Narad Muni. So my only duty is to serve him, and I cannot do anything else. So he gives, what should we say, thanks to his gratitude to his spiritual master, and also gives us an important principle, that my first thing is I have to serve my spiritual master, and whether I cross the material ocean, that is up to your mercy. But my duty is, I cannot neglect the service of my spiritual master. And then he talks about someone who is engaged in devotional service goes through so many different processes, saying prayers, worshipping the Lord, engaging in like some rituals, archana. But even those, if someone is perfecting these, like a Brahmin, if he doesn't develop love for you, if he doesn't become a Vaishnava, then his Brahminical qualities are for naught. So just by being a Brahmin or going to the mode of goodness is not sufficient to go over this material world. I need to become your unalloyed devotee and surrender to you and take part in these different items of bhakti. Then only I can reach your lotus feet. Then I have 7, 9, 50, I think. He talks about these items of devotional service. So he describes, therefore, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, the best of all persons to whom prayers are offered, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, because without rendering 6 kinds of devotional service to you, let us see if we are doing this, right? These 6 kinds. Offering prayers, dedicating all the results of activities, worshipping you, working on your behalf, always remembering your lotus feet, and hearing about your glories. Who can achieve that which is meant for the Paramahamsas? So I think this is a good segue to talk about Jayananda's Prabhu. We see he engaged in all these 6 items of devotional service. He offering prayers, he was very dedicated to the morning program. It's described that he was the last to go to bed and the first to wake up, and he would sleep in the temple room guarding the deities. So even in his sleep, he was serving the Lord. dedicating all the results of activities. So we know that when Jayananda Prabhu first, when he joined the temple, after he met Srila Prabhupada, and he realized that this is what I should do, he gave his life savings to Srila Prabhupada. That was $5,000, which was quite a lot in those days. Jayananda Prabhu was a little different from most of the devotees he joined in those days. He was a little older, and he was also working. He was qualified from OSU, Ohio State University. He's graduated as a mechanical engineer. But he was disenchanted with material life. And so he fell into depression, thinking he had no purpose, till he came in touch with Srila Prabhupada's teachings. And then he thought, after he had decided, he was so down, he thought, let me check out this Swami. And when he heard from Srila Prabhupada, he got his life back. And so he surrendered himself to Srila Prabhupada. So all the results of his activities were dedicated to Srila Prabhupada. So much so that he never took anything for himself. He was a cab driver, so he would, that is how, he was the only person in those early days who had a job. All the other devotees were just doing devotional service, but he had a regular job. And by that he was maintaining the temple. And there's an interesting story that one day he just took a pair of pants from a shop and he was caught. So he was brought by the police in front of the judge. And Jayananda, his plea, he was feeling so bad. He never wanted to spend any money which he considered Krishna's money on himself. So even though he was earning the money and turning it over to Krishna, he did not feel that he could use that money to buy pants for him. So he was telling the judge, I'm working for this church, and everything belongs to I have nothing. So I do not feel comfortable taking the Lord's money for myself. And the policeman who had arrested him, he felt so sorry. He paid for the fine or whatever it was, and so he was discharged. No. And it is described that he wrote a letter to Srila Prabhupada in July of 1977, and soon after that he left his body. He left before Srila Prabhupada left his body. And he had sent Srila Prabhupada $2,500 or $5,000 at that time again. So Srila Prabhupada wrote him a letter acknowledging the donation. And he said, I remember you, that you, when you came, you had given me substantial amount of money, and now also you are sending me this money, but I think you may use this for your treatment. And if you like, I will send this back to you. Of course, Jayananda Prabhu never asked for that money back. But this was his mood, even though he just depended on Krishna and did not take anything for him, giving everything to Krishna and worshipping him, worshipping the Lord. We know how he constructed the Rath carts, working day in, day out. And he was so careful about the Lord's money that he would beg everything. No, he would try not to spend anything if he could. So he would go to the fruit market and get all the fruits and vegetables. He would ask for donations, and he had such a beautiful personality that everyone loved him. He was the epitome of like the 6 Goswamis. No, the gentle people and the ruffians, they all loved him. So that was like and then worshipping the Lord, and then working on your behalf. Of course, this was even when he was diagnosed with leukemia, till the very end he was still working towards the Rath Yatra. Even from the hospital room, he was calling the different officials so he can get the permits, and organizing it from his room. And always remembering your lotus feet. Always remembering his vision was, how can this Rath Yatra, which is so pleasing to Srila Prabhupada, how can it become successful? What can I do to make it very pleasant for the Lord and for all the devotees, so they can come and get the same shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord? And then hearing about your glories. He liked to hear about, he liked to hear Srila Prabhupada. And it is some pastimes are there that Jayananda Prabhu was so tired that when he would come to the class, he would always sit in the back and he would fall asleep. And sometimes some devotee would nudge him to keep him awake. And Srila Prabhupada said, leave him alone. He's okay. And when someone asked him after the class, what is this about? He could tell you exactly what Srila Prabhupada said. So we don't understand by our material intelligence, but the soul actually hears. No, the soul was hearing, with his spiritual ears he was hearing and he was taking it in, even though externally it appeared that he was so tired and he was sleeping. So this is such an amazing thing that he could summarize what Srila Prabhupada had said. And he was of course very humble. We saw that, he did every service conceivable. Whatever need, he was like jack of all trades and master of one, right? Master of Bhakti and his dedication to Srila Prabhupada. There is some devotee described that when he first came to the temple, he was asking like, can I do something? And they told him, you can just help Jayananda. And Jayananda was taking out the garbage. And he was so blissful. He would always be chanting and he was very happy to talk to the devotees or to anyone who came. And this new devotee thought, if the janitor is so blissful and so elevated, what about the rest of these people in this organization? I want to be part of this. So this was, he taught by example. No? He could engage anyone. And it's also described that he loved prasadam. He loved to eat prasadam, he loved to distribute it, and he loved to arrange for its cooking and distribution by any means. And he could eat large amounts, but it never affected his service. So amazing. He ate, he was actually honoring prasadam, honoring it on the spiritual platform. So even though he could eat, like they said, he could eat heaps of halava. And like he could eat and like lots of sour cream and butter, and that's how he cooked. And he liked to distribute it to those people who were helping him with the Rath Yatra. But he could still wake up in the morning full of energy, and he had the most energy of everyone else. Even after a big feast or everyone was tired, Jayananda would jump into the temple room and start the kirtan. So truly he showed the symptoms of a Mahabhagavat. He was not restricted by his material body, but he always transcended it. And he showed the example that if someone takes up devotional service with a sincere heart, they are always joyful. And he was like a touchstone. Whoever he touched, whoever he met, he could attract them to Srila Prabhupada and to Krishna consciousness. And we see his, that famous picture, no? Like in front of every Rath cart, they have this picture of Jayananda Prabhu in that orange or yellow jacket, and he's directing the Rath Yatra. No? So at his samadhi, near the Goshala, right? His samadhi is in the Goshala. That jacket is still there. There's a picture of Jayananda Prabhu and that jacket very famous jacket he wore. So whenever we go to Vrindavan, we can, here there's a nice picture. We can also go there and, get his mercy. So, just like Prahlad Maharaj is saying, only by devotional service we can approach you or we can satisfy you. So we see Jayananda Prabhu was also doing the same. He was actually not just hearing this, but he realized it and he practiced every single item. So after Prahlad Maharaj offers these prayers, the Lord then tests him. He says, my dear boy, you have satisfied me with your prayers. Now please ask me for something. Ask me for a boon. So Prahlad Maharaj then replies very beautifully, that you do not, whatever you do, my prayer to you, it's chapter 10, text 7. I think it's a very beautiful prayer that we can learn also. Text 7. He says, O my Lord, best of the givers of benediction, if you at all want to bestow a desirable benediction upon me, then I pray from your Lordship that within the core of my heart there be no material desires. We say Lord Nrsimha Dev is the remover of all obstacles. Radha Nila Madhava ki jai, Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Radha Giridhari ki jai, Nitai Chaitanya Chandra Nitai Gaura Chandra ki jai. So Patita Prabhu, you are able to bring up that 7, 10, 7. So we'll bring that up and we can recite it. At least we'll recite one prayer today to the Lord, which is in Parampara. And it's a very short, it's an easy tune. I said the English and we can just say this. Yeah. Yadi dasyasi me kaman varastvam varadarshaba kamanam ridi asamroham bhavatastu vrinevaram. You can recite, that way we will understand better. Someone can recite? Yadi dasyasi me kaman varam tastvaradarshavaha kamanam ridi asamroham bhavatastu vrinevaram. Someone else? Yadi dasyasi me kaman varam stvam varadarshava kamanam ridi asamroham bhavatastu vrineraham. Yadi dasyasi me kaman varam tasdamadarshava kamanam ridi asamroham bhavatastu vrinevaram. So, O my Lord, best of the givers of benediction, if you at all want to bestow a desirable benediction upon me, then I pray from your Lordship that within the core of my heart there be no material desires. Means we just want the desire is that we may just serve you and serve my spiritual master. This is similar to Mahaprabhu's prayer also, na dhanam na janam na sundiram kavitam va jagadisha kamaye. It's asking that I do not want any wealth or followers or beautiful women. I pray that in any birth, I will always do devotional service unto you. So Prahlad Maharaj says this beautiful prayer, and then the Lord then carries on with his other pastimes. So I will stop here and take reflections, comments, questions, and shares. No questions. Yeah, yes. Mark.
Why does the Lord give us these material desires and then say we shouldn't have them? Isn't that like taking a child to a candy store and saying you cannot have any candy?
So, if I use your analogy, you take a child to a candy store. So we came to this material world, it was our desire. We decided to come here. It's not that it was an accident, because the Lord fulfills our desire. So we have this destiny and there is free will, right? So because of whatever activities we did in our previous life, we have so many desires. This material body is here so we can fulfill our desires. But once we come to this point of Krishna consciousness, then we have a choice. We can either choose to serve Krishna or we can choose to serve our senses. We can serve Maya. It's like this. When like you take a child to the candy store, right, your example, the child can decide, I'm going to throw a tantrum and I'm going to get this candy because that's what I want. Or the child can think, my parents work so hard. They don't have extra money for, just candy. It's not life-saving or life-giving for me. I can decide to forego this and then help my parents not spend this money unnecessarily. So he has to make the decision. Right? He doesn't have a choice that he's taken to the candy store because his parents dictate that. But he does have some control over whether I really want that candy, or he can say, even though I want this candy, I may want to distribute it to other people, to my friends who are not so fortunate. Or if I really want it because I really love this candy and I want it for myself, and I'm really going to, I really want it, and he's like fixed in getting it. Or he can think, if the parents tell him, my dear child, this is not good for you, we can't afford this right now, some other time this particular kind is not good for you, then he can be subservient, or he can understand from he have this realization that actually I can call upon my higher nature, right? His senses are controlled by his mind. If the intelligence is strong, then he will understand what his parents are telling him. And he may say, okay, I don't think this is a good choice. Maybe I'll get something else, or I'll restrain myself and not insist on getting this candy. So in other words, we cannot blame the Lord for our material desires. We have cultivated these material desires over many, many lifetimes. I'll tell you a funny story, maybe this helps you. Supposing Mark, you have a jewelry store, right? You go to the jewelry store, and I go to your jewelry store and I steal the jewels, right? I hold you up at gunpoint, and then you press the button and the security comes and the police come and they catch me. You take me to the judge, right? So the judge tells me, Guru Bhakti, you are charged with, stealing these jewels. We have witnesses, you are on camera, you were caught red-handed with the jewels. How do you plead? I plead, Your Honor, not guilty. If Mark did not open that jewelry store, I would never have stolen the jewels. Right?
Good
That's
point.
what we are saying. If you didn't open that jewelry store, why I would not steal the jewels? So it's your fault you opened the jewelry store. It's not my fault that I stole them. So this is our position, right? We are passing the blame to someone else. We are pointing fingers to the Lord. It's your fault. But actually, we decided we wanted to come to this world, be separate from Him. So He gave us our desire. Now we can just decide what we want to do. We still have a chance to improve. So we have to take responsibility for ourselves. The Lord will help us purify our desires if we can sincerely pray, and He will help us. He certainly helps those who ask for His mercy. Is that okay?
Very good. Thank you.
Okay. Sudevi. Thank you so much for playing the harmonium. And you're singing. Yesterday you sang that tune of your Guru Maharaj. It was so beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so just before you said this, I was thinking during your class, how does one have, get to this level where you're just thinking so purely, especially when you have so many just impediments, in this life. And you were saying hope against hope. It's like that. It's like you just feel like hopeless in some way, because how can I overcome my challenges of my mind, of my anarthas, these kind of things. So, and then, there's this prayer, but how does one, go beyond this? Because it seems so debilitating. No, that's the word. Debilitating.
Yeah, hopeless. Or like you said, we have so many anarthas, we feel like, how can we go beyond this? So, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, right, Abhyasa yoga yuktena, by practice, constant practice. And I'll prove to you that you're actually doing it. Why? Because you're a mother. Right? You're making so many sacrifices, you're undergoing so many austerity, you're putting your needs, you're putting the family's needs before your needs all the time. Not only that, you're extending beyond your family, you're taking care of the Krishna house devotees. Right? So your compassion, your good qualities are going even beyond yourself, beyond your family. So you're already doing it. You have to just sometimes, we have to remember that and give yourself credit. Not, sometimes we feel like we are seeing what we are not doing, but we can also see what we are doing. And, whatever I have said is true, right? You're living your life. Your life is an example. So we are on the path. It is good for us devotees to always feel we are not there yet, to always strive for better and better. No? This is devotional life, right? We always want to do better service, better attitude, better mind. So when we feel hopeless, take a step back and think, okay, let me see what else I have done, which is... So you can see, okay, I have some success here. And then we pray for the mercy of the Lord. If you can get me from 0 to 1, you can definitely get me from 1 to 10. I don't see how it happens, but I have faith and complete surrender to you that if I just follow the process and I'm faithful to my spiritual master and I follow the process of devotional service, even though I'm completely not qualified, your process is such that it will even lift someone as fallen as me to your lotus feet. And in that way, we'll be able to balance it. Is that okay?
That's very nice. Thank you.
Okay, I think there's no more. Yeah, Gopal Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Thanks so much for reminiscing on Sriman Jayananda Thakur. There is two things that came to mind when you brought up Jayananda Maharaj. Jayananda Prabhu was so fond of prasadam that would literally will eat it off the floor.
Yes.
There are instances where he's done that. And one more quality of his was he would never listen to gossip or complaints.
Thanks.
He would simply walk away. When somebody is defaming some other devotee, he would just walk away. And I thought it's a good occasion to read Srila Prabhupada's letter after he knew about his passing.
Yes.
Jayananda's death is glorious. It is very good that he had stated, what is the use of such a useless body? Better to give it up. He has left his body very wonderfully and he has been transferred to Vaikuntha. Everyone should follow the example of Jayananda. I am very proud that I had such a nice disciple. If possible, Jayananda's picture should be hung in the Ratha of Lord Jagannath. And in all of our temples, a day may be set aside for holding a festival in his honor, just as we do on the disappearance day of the other great Vaishnavas. So that was his reaction or his glorification of Sriman Jayananda.
Yes. Thank you so much for reminding me of those two things. That that if prasadam fell on the floor, Jayananda would actually lick it up. He had so much faith in the potency of the prasadam. And yes, that he avoided Vaishnava aparad. If someone was criticizing the devotees, he was immediately walk away and find another excuse. So that's the quality of a person, the Uttamadhikari, right? They actually Madhyamadhikari, they avoid criticism or hearing criticism of the devotees, and they avoid this Vaishnava aparad. I thought someone may have more pastimes of Jayananda Prabhu, that's why I left a little more time. He has so many beautiful pastimes about, he's one of my heroes, so many. There are two books written, what is it called? Radha Damodar Vilas, which talks about the pastimes of Vishnujan Maharaj and Jayananda Prabhu. And there are 2 volumes. I've only read the first volume, been a long time. But it describes his stellar quality, how he would, the city officials, it's described that after he passed away, when the Jayananda would get all the permits from the city. So then they went to the city to get this permission, and there was this one city official, a lady, who was very mean. And everyone knew that she would give them the hard time. So when they went, she thought, like, where is that Johnny Ananda? You know, they would call him Johnny Ananda. Where is he? Then they told him that unfortunately he has passed away. So she immediately burst into tears. You know, such a harsh person, but still she was affected by the loss of this Vaishnava. So even though on the external surface she was very harsh, he penetrated that shell and he saw the soul, and that is what he was. He always saw the soul and the super soul within every living entity. And therefore he never committed Vaishnava aparad, and he was so always one-pointed in his relationships with devotees. So thank you so much for for those remembrances.
The other book you mentioned is The Beautiful Life of Jayananda Thakur
That's right.
by Vishwakadas.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah, those two. Okay. Just look at us, right? We cannot have words to glorify a Vaishnava, to glorify the Lord. That so it's something that we have to focus on and learn. Just his example, and then of course with Lord Nrsimha, we can pray. If you go to India, a lot of people, they pray to Ganesh, the elephant with the elephant head, to remove obstacles on the path of devotional service. Like before you start any puja, even before you start a sacrifice, you pray to Ganesh. So he's considered to be the remover of obstacles, but actually Ganesh is a demigod. And it's described, the reason he's so powerful is because on his tumuli, on his tusks, he carries the feet of Nrsimha. So because he's carrying the feet of Nrsimha on his tumuli, that is how he removes obstacles. So we can pray to Lord Nrsimha to remove obstacles, remove these like material desires from within our hearts. And sometimes we are very afraid, right? What if the Lord is like really reads our prayers and then really wants to remove our material desires and purifiers, then sometimes we just add a little bit more, but do it gently. I'm not ready for it yet, like not totally. So, but we can also pray that remove these obstacles, but also give me the strength to be able to do this when you present me the opportunity. So in this way, when the hard lessons come and the purification comes, then all these layers will slowly go away. Because only by doing that can I come and serve your lotus feet and make my life successful in your service. Okay, so we'll end here. And Kalpataru Mataji has something to say.
Just remembered something about Jayananda Prabhu, that how he would engage everybody in service of the Lord, especially when he would make the cart, Jagannath Rath Yatra cart. So anybody who's passing through the street, he will pretend that he needs help. So he will say, "Can you hand me that nail?" Or
Yes.
"Can you, hammer these nails?" Or "I cannot do it." So
Yes.
that's, it was nice quality.
Yes, he was expert in engaging everyone in devotional service like that. Share. And we know if someone engages in service, then that cements their relationship with the Lord. Then the Lord will never let them go. So one of our, if we can engage everyone, even in one small service, if they feel responsible for that and they do it, the Lord will reciprocate. They will always come back. It's to the eternal credit. So like that. Oh, Dhruva has something to say? Or is it your mommy?
Also, he was a cab driver. And
Yes.
it was perfect because he would probably preach to all his
Yes.
people that
He would
night.
preach to his customers. He would talk to them and then, he'd turn over the money to Srila Prabhupada. So,
Wait, I forgot what was it.
okay. When you remember, you can tell us. Okay, so we'll stop here. And, Koera Prabhu has something to say. Sorry, I didn't see you.
He was making a card for Jagannath. He was smoking, and Prabhupada noticed that. So when Prabhupada came over here, and he just knocked down his cigarette with a card from the card, and he told him, "This is what you keep away from Krishna." And since I heard that, then since then he never smoked cigarette.
Yeah, I've heard that in relation to Shyamasundar Prabhu, so I don't know if it's the same. To Shyamasundar Prabhu, right? That was in relation to Shyamasundar Prabhu when he was carving the deity of Lord Jagannath. Yeah, in the same pastime, but a different aspect, a different side. Yeah, yeah.
Pastime
Yes.
about the Nrsimha. There was an article in the Back to Godhead magazine. There was a 5-year-old girl. She had a tremendous trust in Nrsimha. And one time she was playing on the road. I think you narrated one story, if I'm mistaken. Anyway, she was playing on the road, and her father was on the second floor, and there was a truck passed by, and she The truck knocked down the girl, and girl went about 20 or 30 feet. She was away, and when his father was shocked, he came over there, and then the girl she was not physically injured, externally injured, but he took him to the doctor, and the doctor was surprised because she was knocked down with a truck so far, and she never had any injury. But doctor found some kind of marking on the back of her body, and then it would look like some animal, and the doctor asked the father, did her animal hurt her? No, the father said, no, I saw the truck knocked down her, and because it looks like the girl told the Nrsimha, when the girl, they asked the girl, what happened? They said, no, Nrsimha Dev came and he saved me.
Yes.
So this is the trust of the Lord.
Yes. There are many pastimes of Nrsimha Dev from Mayapur, also very active deity. I remember we had one disciple of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj who was passing away, and her family, she was from a Christian background, and the family were completely opposed to Krishna consciousness. She lived in this community for a short time, and when she was passing away, the family kind of like hijacked her, and they would not allow the devotees to come in the house. And it was a very fearful situation for us and very sorrowful, because we felt like we could not help her. So then one of our devotees was walking from their home for the morning to come to the temple, no? So she saw Lord Nrsimha Dev walked her all the way to the temple, and then he disappeared. So that time, like that family was so against devotional principles, like they did not want anyone to be in touch with her. So then this devotee had felt like, or saw like Nrsimha Dev walking her to the temple, and then he left when she was safe. So even though Radha Krishna Prabhu has something to say.
I heard the Mayapur Nrsimha deity once. The devotees felt that his eyes were too fearsome, yes, red, and so Jananivas and Pankajangiri, they changed it. Then the next day, sometime, one devotee came to Jananivas Prabhu and she said, I had a dream of Nrsimha Dev. And say, what? Nrsimha Dev told me that he's not happy with the new eyes. He wants his red, fierce eyes. So they immediately changed it back.
Yes. There are many pastimes like that. There's also a story of a pujari who, because the Lord is so fearsome, so this brahmachari was always afraid. Some people, when we are taught to worship the Lord in a mood of awe and reverence. So when he went to worship Lord Nrsimha Dev, he was very afraid. So the Lord came in his dream, and he sat on his bed and shook his bed shook, no? He told him, don't be afraid of me. Please don't be afraid of me. So this brahmachari, he woke up, he was so ecstatic. He ran to the temple room, and then fell flat in Dandavats before Lord Nrsimha Dev. Then he noticed people were looking at him. And then he realized he only had his night clothes on. So he was so ecstatic, he ran, and he didn't realize where he was. And so the Lord came and told him, yeah, awe and reverence is fine, but don't be petrified by fear. I am also a person, I reciprocate with you. So it's
a lot of big temples of Nrsimha Dev in Andhra Pradesh, particularly the Ahobilam, and people go there, and there are so many temples around that one. So it's nice to, and there is a nice book about Lord Nrsimha Dev, the Dhruv, one of the devotees.
Yes.
I think, I don't know, but he published a very nice book, and
Yes.
there are so many old temples of Nrsimha Dev there, and they're very nice.
Yeah, Iskcon devotees have a particular fondness for Lord Nrsimha Dev, isn't it? Yeah, it's we have even though it's such an amazing deity and so fearful, and his puja is so strict, but still a lot of devotees have a lot of affection for Lord Nrsimha Dev. And even, it's amazing that, Srila Prabhupada taught us that prayer, how to chant. That somebody actually sent me a recording where he's teaching the devotees how to chant that prayer when he first introduced it, for the protection of our movement, protection of our devotional service, and for the protection of our deities and our community. We pray to Lord Nrsimha Dev every day. And it's a favorite prayer for everyone, even though it's a little tough, a little hard. So, Okay. So we'll end here. Nrsimhadev Bhagwan ki jai. Jayananda Prabhu ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Haribo. Notice me.